So in the first video, I showed you how to solve this first equation, this quadratic equation. I also walked you through what quadratics are, just the things that you want to be thinking about when you see a quadratic equation and what it means to solve a quadratic equation, and then the different methods to solving a quadratic equation. We have factoring, we have quadratic formula, and then we could also take the square root of both sides when there's no linear term in our equation. So those are basically our three methods with which to solve quadratics. And then I asked you to pause the video and solve each of these equations. And so we're just going to go ahead and pick up where we left off. Solving the second equation, I'm always going to try to factor first. And indeed, this polynomial factors. It's already in standard form. We have x. We have 3 and 5 factors of 15 that have a difference of 2 or of negative 2. So if the 5 is negative and the 3 is positive, that means that we found the right factors. So if we FOIL that back out, we will get the original polynomial. And so we factored it correctly. And once we factor the polynomial, we set each factor equal to 0. X minus 5 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0. And then when we subtract 3 from both sides in this first one, we subtract 3, we get, we're going to get x equals negative 3 there. And on this other equation, we add 5 to both sides. And then when we do that, we're going to get x equals positive 5 over there. Here, we get x is equal to negative 3. And we get over here, x is equal to positive 5. So negative 3 and 5 are the two solutions to that quadratic equation. And the third one, we notice that it's already not in standard form. We have 3 different types of terms: quadratic, linear, and constant. So with those 3 terms, we really want to make sure we gather all the terms to one side. And that would be, and to do that, we're going to go ahead and add x to both sides. We're also going to subtract 15 from both sides. And once we do that, we then have our equation in standard form. So let's say we're going to write in standard form that the x squared term goes first, the linear term, so the x squared term is called the quadratic term. The linear term, the x term, x to the first power, goes next, and then the constant is the third term we write. And once we get that, then we're ready to either factor or plug these numbers into the quadratic formula. Again, I would always try to factor. The factors of 6x squared that are closest together are 3x and 2x. And then factors of 15 that are closest together are 5 and 3. And when we do the 5 and the 3, we can't put a 3 in this set of parentheses here. If we put a 3 right there, then there'd be a 3 there and a 3 there, and we're not allowed to have 2 3s in the same set of parentheses. We're not allowed to have any common factors within the same set of parentheses. So if we have 3 and 5, which we're going to try those first, then the 3 has to go over here and not in the same set of parentheses as the other 3, like we just talked about. And so if we FOIL this, let's see if we get if we found the right factors. The f times the f, first times first, gives us 6x squared. So we got our first term, check. And then the last times the last, so 3x times 3, sorry, the outsides. Should do the last times the last. So last times the last is 5 times 3, that's 15. Good. And then the outsides together give us 9x. The insides together give us 10x. And so if we have a positive 10x and a minus 9x and a minus 15, then we have add these two terms together and we get positive x. So we found our factors as long as what multiplies together to give us 10x is positive. So the plus sign is going to go there and the minus sign is going to go there. So let's back all the way out of that. Sorry for the tapping. That's what we really want to do in our heads, and it goes pretty quickly if we do that. Again, the 10x is going to be the positive, and the 9x is going to be the negative. So we have 3x plus 5 times 2x minus 3. Those are the factors. And when we set each factor equal to 0 and solve for x in each one of these, we get x equals negative 5/3, and x is equal to 3/2. And so those are the two solutions to this quadratic equation. And that's it.